You're listening to Spotlight on Business on Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Once again, here's your host, Laura Smith.
Welcome back. This is the Style File with none other than Danny Reynolds and me, Laura Smith, the guy who knows everything about style and also what's happening with Main Street and small businesses. I'll tell you what. You've got you're in both camps, and it's fascinating to listen to you with your various trips to Washington, D.C. all the time representing. Tell us what's been going on lately. You wanted to talk a little bit about taxes.
Yeah, well, not the boring side of taxes.
No, the fun side, the fashionable side of taxes.
I don't know if there's one of those either, but there is a big tax bill that we've all heard a little bit about, but I feel like some of the rhetoric that maybe has been tossed aside by mainstream media is important for folks to understand. And it's what I like to call OB3. I heard somebody in D.C. call it OB3. I was like, why didn't I think of that? It's one big, beautiful bill. So,
gotcha.
OB3 to keep it simple, but this is literally the most pro-Main Street bill in history. And what I mean by that, Laura, is there are so many benefits to small business, which, as we know, is the largest employment sector in the country. Not only does it benefit small business owners, it benefits the employees of many, many small businesses. So I think that a lot got glossed over with this bill, and we are just now, beginning to reap the benefits of it. And I think people need to be aware of it. Let's, for a moment, toss the politics aside of what you may or may not feel about the administration that pushed this thing through. If you own, run, or manage a small business, or if you work for a small business, and to keep things simple, why don't we just say any business with 100 employees or less? I don't know that is necessarily the specific qualification for a lot of these benefits, but as a way to sort of sample small business, we'll look at it that way. But the big thing that this does, or the first thing, is makes the small business tax deduction permanent. So it's been a temporary thing where business income has been limited to 20%. It was scheduled to go back to 35%. So in other words, just 35% of all business income go back to Uncle Sam. This reduces that permanently to 20%. That 15% swing is a big deal to business owners. It allows them to reinvest in their businesses, their employees, their communities. That's now permanent. This supports the return of Made in America. So, a lot of talk by myself and many others about tariffs over this last year. That's really just part of the equation. This allows 100% expensing for new factories, factory improvements, equipment, and research to be built in America. So if I'm an international business, I've been doing my production out of the country. If I will build factories back in the States, I get 100% expense allowed. That's a big deal. No taxes on senior Social Security. So that's a big one. Seniors on fixed incomes. Sure. That's a big deal. Boost take-home pay for the typical hardworking family over $10,000 a year. They like to bill this as a billionaire tax law. It is not. It's for the middle and working class, 100%. $10,000 is a big chunk of change for the average worker. Expands opportunity zones, permanently renews and strengthens program, unlocking $100 billion of investment, 1 million jobs for rural and distressed communities. So helping out areas that are struggling. Supports working families by expanding child care access and making paid leave tax credits permanent. And ends the war on the gig economy. This is a big one, too. A lot of people, I think you guys, as one day last week, were talking about people working side hustles and things like that. This removes the requirement that Venmo, PayPal, and other gig transactions over $600 be reported to the IRS. So it's taken some of that government overreach that the last administration kind of put in place and relaxing some of that a little bit. So that's a lot of things that are here to really help boost and stimulate our economy, and more than anything, put more money in the pockets of business owners, but more importantly, their employees.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I mean, that'll make a big difference to your bottom line for your year, won't it?
Well, as a business, it allows you, if you're not sending all of your income to the government, what are you going to do? It allows you to be more competitive by building, enhancing, hiring, doing all those things that stimulate economy. Let's say a store like Stephensons has some income and they decide to make some enhancements to their 150-year-old structure. Well, we're going to need people to do that. So now we're putting people to work to do some of these, construction improvements and things like that. So it sort of expands from there. I just, I feel it's important that people understand what this bill is really about, because there's been a lot of misconception out there about it being a big tax break for billionaires and that kind of thing. And that really could not be further from the truth.
Yeah. Well, I think, they're doing it on purpose to try to take the spotlight off of all the good that is actually going to be coming from this. And what a shame, because a lot of times the average American doesn't know that they're not getting the right message or but that is such good news. And boy, I so welcome. And and that also means people can shop more. Yeah,
well, we certainly aren't going to argue with that, but it's true. It's another way it just spurs economy, and they may not just be shopping for clothing, but maybe automobiles, life essentials, things like that. It's amazing the way that a little bit more income and in the average American's pocket can stimulate the economy. It's the best, quickest, easiest way to do so.
Well, if you look at downtown Elkhart, just since I got here in 2020, I feel like there is a rebirth going on right here in our own downtown. It's exciting.
It is exciting. I love seeing new retailers, restaurants, shops, whatever it is, pop up. I tell the story many times. I've probably told it on these airwaves before of a friend of mine from New York visiting the store back in 2009, where we're right in the thick of the Great Recession. And he's like, you guys are all alone here. I don't know how you do this. And it wasn't easy, wasn't always pleasant, but we did survive. Fast forward a couple of years, and when they start renovating the Lerner, I continually look at that as the catalyst for the revitalization of downtown. The IUSB annex started soon after that. And then you just started to see outward growth from that block on. And now, fast forward, I can't believe I'm saying this, but 15, 16 years, and we have a vibrant downtown. You drive down Main Street, it's lit up. There's new stores popping up. There's so many great restaurants that we all know. Yes. Places to shop beyond Stephensons. I mean, even in our block, I can think of, 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 other stores, maybe 6, and 2 restaurants at least, just in the 200 block of Main Street that you can visit. So I love the thought of somebody parking their car and just walking Main Street for a couple hours on a Saturday. And when we get shoppers coming in doing just that, it literally warms my heart, because, the retail demise was what people were talking about not that many years ago, and online. And there is a place for it. We all know that. But there's always going to be a place for great in-person brick and mortar shopping.
Yeah, it's an energy. And also it helps that they're doing the entire infrastructure of it. So they're building a lot of new fabulous apartments.
Oh, yeah.
And the South Main Street area is being developed now as well. So it's all just trickling and right into Main Street. And it's just
a snowball
makes me
effect.
happy.
And, if you look just a little bit east on Jackson, the Delta development that Dave Weaver and the We Impact Group have done there in front of the Aquatic Center was a biggie too. I mean, and that brings sometimes thousands of people to downtown Elkhart on the weekend. But you look at the Delta, and it's like I was stopped in traffic coming through there the other day, and just glancing around these new apartments, the new restaurant that Kurt and gang, Paul Cataldo, put in there, Amici, and it's like, this really looks like civilization.
Yeah, it does.
It's got an urban feel about it, and I love it.
And it's almost just beginning, and it's exciting. But Stephensons, isn't that wonderful though? That through it all, like you said, in that 150-year-old building, you've had a store. Well, not your family per se, but Stephensons, 95 years and still going strong. Your family's owned it since 1964. There's nothing like that. There is really nothing like that. It is such a pleasure. It is such a wonderful feeling of home Really, truly.
It's a store with a story, and we're looking
and
forward to writing the next chapter.
And a great big soul, and filled with wonderful, wonderful people in the family, the Reynolds family. And really, in my opinion, the best clothes, the most affordable, the most beautiful. And one day, shall I ever get married, it will be my wedding gown, too.
And we will be there for you.
But we digress. Oh, it's wonderful to be with you again on the Style File. Danny Reynolds, thank you so much for all you do, not only on Main Street, but in Washington, D.C. Thank you.
Lauren. Happy Sunday, everybody.
Happy Sunday. We'll see you next time on the Style File. I'm Laura Smith.
If you missed any part of today's show, log on to 953mnc.com and look for the Spotlight on Business podcast. Be sure to tune in again next Sunday afternoon at 4:30 for Spotlight on Business on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel, your breaking news and weather station.
Podcasts by Federated Media.